Hello, our friends, Evolutionary Energy Arts family.
Hello there, welcome back.
Welcome back, guys. And again, we invite everybody, if you feel so inclined, you could watch all the videos over on Patreon. As you see, you could actually join for free to watch all the non-Patreon only videos. Again, we put up videos that are Patreon only about every third day. We'll do an exclusive video just for the Patreons in which we speak extremely clear. And every now and then we get some code language mixed in because we're just so used to speaking that way. But please do. And if you are so inclined, join us over at Patreon as a paid member, and then you do support the channel, which, again, everything that is going on in this world is about suppressing the reality of things and keeping on with the narrative, which is becoming more and more obvious to more and more people.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's almost to the point where everybody knows it's a huge yawn when the mainstream media is doing their thing. People know to look somewhere else now.
And do subscribe if you're not so inclined to join us over on Patreon to Heart's Home. This is where the more spiritual ones go. If you don't want to see the news, be exposed to the news, but you want to go delve deeper into spirituality, mantras, as you see here, shorts, how to say certain mantras, mantras themselves, different meditations, biofield tuning, light code activations, great teachers and gurus, yoga, the real Yeshua. Join us over here as well, and it also helps with sorting. So we have our website, which we mentioned a few days ago for the first time in probably 6 months, as we get caught up in things, evolutionaryenergyarts.com. And when I noticed, I scrolled down, and because I was thinking we need to do some work on upgrading this again, go to testimonials. It says write a title here, click to edit, add your own. We haven't done anything to this in forever, and the dozens of testimonials that were up are all gone. This doesn't surprise me because going back to, I want to say it was either 2018 or I think it was around 2018. It was when I was starting to go and delve deep dive into the whole CONS piracy theories. That my Facebook page got taken down on me, and I had over 1,000 recommendations there for things like energy work, etc. And it was just boom, they took it down, and sorry, you couldn't retrieve anything. This is what the system does. The corrupt system, it just keeps corrupting.
It does, and then we have this Iceland issue going on, and I've had a headache, and some of you guys too, for probably the last 3 or 4 days, and I'm really feeling that we are reacting to that. Some of us that are so extremely sensitive to Earth, she has feelings. I mean, she has emotions. She's in the 3D. She's going to feel. So there's something pressing. There's something moving. This is going to be something to remember, and definitely something we should keep our eye on. And I just keep going back to that vision I had so long ago of the volcano with other volcanoes going off. That keeps popping into my head, and I feel it's tied into this, and the other part of that vision was us being at war. So I'm really keeping a close eye on this to see how it unfolds, because of my thought process just keeps circling back to that vision.
Absolutely. And BP Earthwatch was talking about this last night, and Jesse does a great job. We don't agree from a religious perspective, certainly, but he's a great guy. What can you say? He's a real good person that's been covering things for years and, giving his take on it. And I think it's a perfect example how everything is wrapped up in the Bible for so many people, and they look at it as verification that this is God speaking. But, again, who is that God really? What does that word mean to you? Because I think a lot of people don't really go that deep. They just say this is God, and they leave it at that. And it's, okay, well, who is that God to you? Do you think, are you saying this is the creator of everything that's doing all this? Or are you using the word in its original interpretations? Like if we go and use Elohim in the plural, mighty ones, or judges, those that judge humanity, then that's something totally different. Again, the creator of this universe isn't causing any havoc on us. It's a free will universe. It's literally allowed to do things the way we want to do. And the system that's on this planet is something that's unnatural, but it is something also that's losing its grip. So this says Iceland volcano, Iceland, hundreds of earthquakes hit Iceland in the past day. And then it talks about the volcano starting to erupt, which there's no official eruption yet at the moment of this taping of this video. So yeah, somebody brought up this sounds like a bot. Could be a bot. That's the thing. AI. It's all about merging us with AI. And, we have people in different places and doing different sorts of jobs. And one of them was just showing us some stuff. I don't know if we have permission to show or not. I don't think we do. But it again shows you. Yeah, it shows you how everything about this world is getting you ready to merge with AI. That's really what's going on here, because that will leave us slaves in the sense that we have it in our bodies. It's in our energy field. It already is in many cases. And again, it's assimilation. It truly is. When we think to Star Trek and the Borg collective with the big cube, boy, I mean, it's right in our face. Everything is always right in our face. And sometimes when I look at that, I really think, my gosh, what a simulated reality we're going through here. This feels like we are living inside a movie script. And yet, from this perspective, obviously it's apparently real, but what is real? But then again, we do feel pain in the 3D. We do feel pleasure as well. We as we were saying, the 3D is the only place where you get to experience all the good things that 3D can bring. But there is the duality, so we could expect to experience some of what we would call the negative as well.
Mm-hmm. I mean, you sort of sign a contract. You realize that the duality comes with all of it, but we do have control over that duality. We have control over the karma. When we understand ourselves and we understand the world that we live in, that's what gives us control.
Okay, so as of 10:15 a.m. GMT time, November 16th, no eruption had occurred yet. Approximately 400 quakes recorded at the magma tunnels in Ryanki since midnight. Likelihood of an eruption remains very high. It feels like it's just a matter of time, and the question is, how big will it be? So, there's all the signs that are pointing towards this being a non-typical event. This is going to be something a little bit more. Perhaps it's best viewed as a milestone leading to a totally new time period.
I mean, yeah, it could. I mean, to me, this is already very, very significant. It's something to note in time to see and realize that things are going to change, because I don't think we're going to see like a sudden change where we're going to wake up and one day everything is going to be different. I think it's going to be noted with events just like this. So it's like a big game of dot to dot, and this is a very important dot we've reached.
Absolutely. Again, many places without electricity, many places evacuated. It's just very, very tense. Here you see a once-in-a-century flood disaster strikes Somalia, over 450,000 displaced, 1.2 million affected, 32 fatalities. And this is just one of countless, as it went from drought to deluge. This is what we're going through, these cycles of drought and deluge. They will tell you that it's just a part of the natural, a part of the bigger natural cycle. And yes, many people now totally understand that 12,000 year cycle, the smaller maybe 6,000-ish ones that come along. And then there are those that think, well, when we look to the evidence of mud floods, is it really happening every couple hundred years? And then that starts getting you more into the technology. And again, perhaps they're utilizing technology to take advantage of the natural timelines, and where things might be pretty bad, they become horribly worse.
Mm-hmm. It does. It definitely does.
Yes, absolutely. And so, again, we are living on a planet that is not controlled by humans. And here you have the Turkish president telling Israel, your end is near. Hey, Israel, you have nuclear bomb. You're threatening with us. We know this. Your end is near, whether you have nuclear weapons or not. You're on your way out. Cindy has the chart of Israel, its current birth chart. And it is interesting because I think we'll do a complete video on it. I think we should. But it does show that Israel was created for one purpose, recreated for one purpose, one true purpose. And again, it was the UN and the Red Shields that made this happen, along with the other secret societies. Now, here you have Capitol Police and riot gear. We had seen a huge pro-Israel gathering, let's say, in D.C., and then we see a huge pro-Palestine. This is what they do. They divide and conquer. It's just that simple. This is Controllers 101 at its best. As you see, this is in front of the DNC headquarters. Had to be evacuated. It's only going to intensify. And can you imagine when we get that official notification that there's a global war underway, and then they want to start to draft people? Again, stay out of the chaos, get out of the chaos, look to history. There were people from all sides during the Civil War that didn't want to fight anymore. You had free slaves, you had Confederates, and you had Union members, Union soldiers, all deciding, we don't want this. And in some cases, they did all escape into the deep woods and even the deep swamps of the South. And they created their own little communities working together. They were divided by the power structure on different sides. And yeah, they could get along. And yeah, they did get along. And some of them stayed outside the system until the war was over, and then they came out. This is kind of, I guess, what we're saying is probably the best course of action is don't be pulled into the drama, because obviously we're always being sold things like, oh, you got to go and fight for country, and we word things in terms of service to country, but it's really service to corporations. It's taking part in their profit-making machine, which is known as the military industrial complex. U.S. and China agree to resume military communication. JB hailed Wednesday's talks with Xi Jinping as among the most productive in years. And yet, we have this. Let's listen to his words here. Okay, we are up.
After today, would you still refer to President Xi as a dictator? This is a term that you used earlier this year.
Well, look, he is. I mean, he's a dictator in the sense that he is the guy who runs a country that is a communist country that's based on a form of government totally different than ours.
So, if you can't hear it, he says, look, he's a dictator in the sense that he's a guy who runs a country that is a communist country. It's based on a form of government totally different than ours. The reality is the puppet masters at the top are controlling all the strings. So China is enraged, declares Biden, calling President Xi Jinping a dictator, extremely wrong, and political manipulation. And again, China says, and this is what's being put out there, is China doesn't want to get involved in war in any way, shape, or form, is what they're saying. They said they won't attack Taiwan this year. Again, they're being made to look like the hesitant good guy, that, well, they're going to be dragged into it and then it's going to be decisive. And we could see that the power structure that has been with the NATO countries and the U.S. leading the way, they're being set up to be viewed as the bad guys by history when history is written. And here you have Biden endorsing California Governor Gavin Newsome as the presidential candidate and stated that he could have the job of president after calling him one hell of a governor. Of course, this is a member of the few. And, we understand. But the thing is, those organizations, whenever something or someone gets a little bit big, they make a call and they visit and they tell them why it's in the best interest to come and work with us. Because, again, there is a lot of historical perspective to look back on people that all of a sudden met with a tragic end. BlackRock's Larry Fink, PF Pfizer CEO and CEO of Blackstone, among the top U.S. executives seated at Xi Jinping's table. Again, who really runs the world? Well, corporations in reality are every bit as powerful and actually probably more powerful than countries, because the corporations make money usually on both sides when there's war going on, and they're higher up the totem pole. I mean, USA Inc. is a reality, 1871. As we see here, U.S. Army, no ouchies required, up to $50,000 enlistment bonus, career opportunities, just go kill others. And society's sold on this so much that they don't realize that it's not good. It's an atrocity because, here you are being convinced to go kill other people, and, for the last, for a long time, it's always not been on U.S. soil. We have to go back to the Civil War to have anything major on U.S. soil. But you're being paid to go kill others and control others in other countries. And, the label that gets put on it is service to your country. But really, it's just service to the corporations.
Mm-hmm. It is, and definitely people are figuring these things out. When we see certain things on mainstream Twitter, when they're making comments about these cures, people are really pushing back harder now than I've ever seen, as far as the cures for us. I mean, the problem that I see that's coming up to the top now, that's surfacing, is our pets, our animals, our horses. I mean, they're the ones that I feel are getting the backlash of all of these cures that nobody wants. They have to sell them to somebody, and I find them in the animal world, which I'm going to be talking more about as long as it's safe, and I'll be very coded about it, because it opens another door to another level of attacks. But without recognition of some kind, where are we going to get? But at least we've noticed it and we've acknowledged it and we've shined a light on it at this level.
Pentagon again fails its annual audit of $3.8 trillion in military assets. 6th time it's failed. So again, they don't even really attempt to show you exactly where the money gets spent, as so much of it is pretty obviously, yes, it is taking the cash to the into the washers. Let's put it that way. You guys know what that's all about. It's even more than that. Again, taxation it's an illegal system, and it has nothing to do with anything hardly for us. The little amount that goes into maintaining roads and bridges and things like that, it's so much of a trifle compared to the amount that gets used against humanity. So, we're sweating away and we're working so hard to support our families, but in reality, we're supporting crooks and criminals and liars and thieves and the lowest dregs of humanity, because, the very worst examples of humanity are the ones that are in all the positions of authority. As you see, this is Trudeau going to sit down, and it better not. I think there's some swearing in there. He goes to sit down in a restaurant. He can't. The people are screaming at him. Murderer, liar, thief. You name the labels. You're disgusting. You're vile. I mean, it goes on and on and on. And, he finds one guy on the way out that gives him a hug, because that guy's still sound asleep. He's probably taken too many of his meds. and he has to leave. And this is exactly what Cindy said a long time ago now. It was probably 18 months ago, 2 years ago even, when the guide said, come 2025, none of them will show their faces in public because people will be so riled up against them, so angry against them. You'll still see them, but it'll be holograms, it'll be over airwaves, it'll be through the internet, from a very secure location where they won't disclose it even. Scenes from The Shining. Danny stands up wearing an Apollo 11 sweatshirt, right? Symbolizing the moon launch. Then walks to room 237. The moon is 237,000 miles from Earth. This was Stanley Kubrick's way of telling us that he filmed the Apollo 11 moon landing. Perhaps, again, it all has to be there. Obviously, the moon landing was obviously faked, but it doesn't, and this is where they catch some people. Some people say, well, the moon landing's fake. Everything from NASA has to be fake. Thus, there's no aliens. No, you couldn't be any farther from the truth. Aliens are the ones that are running this show, and interdimensional beings as well. These are some photos from March 1971. Now that was when my brother died, March 1971. UFOs have always been here, and I think back to my own father, who was brought up a devout Catholic. He went to Catholic school all the way through the end of high school to where he went into the Army. All the way. And what did he tell me? Because he again was brought up in a very, very Catholic Hispanic family. That's what he was brought up in. And he would say, UFOs, aliens are real. And he would never really say anything much, but he did once just say that he had seen things, but he wouldn't share. And this is what so many would in other ages be terrified of sharing, because people would think you're a wacko. You believe, and when he's telling this to me is way back, like around this date, maybe 73, 75, and I'm a little kid, and that's the one thing he's getting that point across, is that he's had an encounter. And so many people had, all throughout these times, they've always been with us. And we viewed extraterrestrials many times as demons and angels. Mm-hmm. And, again, there are demonic ones, and then there are some that we can call angelic. But, again, not from here. Right. But there are some from here.
Here, I got the mic. He's so cute. He has one last thing to say. But no, yeah. I mean, I find it to be so sad in our general public. People are so afraid of being found out, or being perceived as weird or strange. But we are coming out of that. We are getting to a point where people can at least find someone to talk to about the things that they know or the things that they see. And that was a big part of my story too, is my family loved me. They loved me dearly, but there were things that I knew, and there were things that I could see that I was not able to share. And because of that repression of my energy field, I made myself sick. I made myself very, very sick, because I mean, I even felt horrible about myself. I'm like, why am I seeing things? According to mainstream, I must be evil because I can see these things and I can know these things. It was not an easy time of my life, and I really held it down for many, many years. And then I talk to people who are able to open up and express themselves in a safe place. Because they really need to. You don't want to keep this stuff repressed in your energy field. And if you have no one to talk to, write it down. It's got to get out of the energy field, because that's what causes the sickness, and that's what causes the repression of energy. And this is what also causes disease, anxiety. It's holding on to this information of the ever-changing world. And what we're doing right now is we're rising up in vibration, and we're also encountering a lot of different beings. People's perceptions becoming much clearer, much clearer. Don't think that they're not releasing things out of CERN, because they do. And these things, when they see a bright light, they definitely come and they hover around it and they recognize it and they watch it. And if people don't know what to do, they can fall victim to these things. So, I mean, it's a very real world that we live in where we need to have our perceptions sharp and we can't deny them.
Yeah, and so many of us have lost people to the system. So I was mentioning the death of my brother, as my mother and my father just simply went along with whatever the DR said. And you know, he had cancer, and he only lived a very brief life. And Cindy lost her best friend ever to the big C as well. And Cindy does still feel bad about to this day that she didn't know better at that point in time. So when her friend was deciding to go the regular mainstream route, she was supportive, and she thought that's what she's supposed to do. I'll drive you there. I'll drive you back. I'll stand there with you. I'll hold your hand the whole way. And she lost her. And now Cindy being Cindy could see her on the other side. And she still does show herself from time to time. She actually utilizes dragonflies sometimes to send messages through. So, you know, this is the reality. The WHO, in its founding document in 1946, exempted itself from criminal charges. How can an organization exempt itself? Really? Oh, I'm going to create something. I'm going to create a corporation. I'm going to create some sort of, you know, league and whatever it is, some sort of organization, and we're just going to say that anything we do, we can't be, you know, liable for. That's insane. That's so insane, you know. And again, how could you possibly do that unless there's the entirety of the true power structure of the world behind you? You couldn't. And so this is part of that big reveal. You know, I don't, you know, no offense to people that are in allopathic medicine, but I don't believe in it at all. There are some things that can be useful for, absolutely. And I think Dana White, you know, who is the president of the UFC, said it really well recently. He said, hey, if I got in an accident, I broke my arm, I'll go get it set. You know, if I need to have x-rays and see what, how bad it is, okay, no problem. He said, but otherwise, he actually came straight out and said, I don't go to DRs anymore because all they are is drug dealers. And that was his words, not mine, but I definitely concur. Real medicine comes from the earth, not from the lab, because, you know, our bodies are from the earth. Yes, they have been tinkered with by ETs. Yes, they have had a lot of their genes flipped breakers onto the off position, so to speak. But our bodies do come from the earth, even though many people out there are starseeds. And again, when you get down to it, everybody here on this planet was, again, salvaged from Tiamat, and maybe we should do another whole video on that and delve deeper, but we have done them in the past. And again, when you go to any of our channels, you could always use this little, you know, magnifying glass to search for something. So, you know, you just type in whatever that keyword is and it'll bring up you know, videos that are about that. And you could do that on Evolutionary and on EEARTS. Again, with Patreon, you can see there's 3,100 videos up there on Patreon. And we probably did about 2,000 videos before we ever even started a Patreon. So, you know, we've done well over 5,000 videos during the course of, you know, the last 7+ years. As you see, the supervisor here, you know, we are beings that come from the earth. Everything is here that we need. And really, it's only the system that corrupts everything. When you look at the system in place and how it's poisoned the environment, that's purposeful. That's purposeful. And we've talked about germ theory versus terrain theory. Well, you know, they've utilized the whole manner of industry on this planet to make the terrain of the earth as polluted as possible. That's to lower our life expectancy. That's to lower our clarity of perception.
Mm-hmm. And I just love this little kitty here. I mean, he looks like he really is the supervisor. He is making sure everything is going smooth. He's helping his human. We just never know how much our pets really talk to us and give us ideas. I mean, we think maybe that we're the ones coming up with ideas, or we're the ones coming up with the names for our pets, but they really communicate telepathically. So we're probably getting more ideas and more information from our pets than we think.
Yeah, and the part that I'd never really hear anybody else bring up that we got information from the guides on is that, like that little kitty, for instance, it may be a small part of the consciousness of maybe his grandfather that is in the cat, helping to protect him, manipulate things to get him to look in a certain direction, think outside the box. This is the reality of things. When you look to, say, witches' familiars, are you familiar with that concept of a witch's familiar, where, I see an owl around her house all the time. She must be a witch. Oh, she's a witch. We got to burn her. She's in league with Satan. Well, again, somebody that's in tune with nature, and then spirits can use animals to literally communicate to us, and they do. And spirits that might be our ancestors, it could be the ones that we call the devas, it could be beings from the Galactic Federation. Again, this is the bigger reality.
I mean, I think people overlook that all the time, about how much our pets are a part of our lives, and they could be a sliver of consciousness from a relative, and it allows them to come into this 3D plane and interact with us more on a GUI level, on a face-to-face level.
As always, guys, thanks for your support. Source bless and namaste.
Namaste.